So during, when Russ and I first got pregnant, I was concerned because, our main focus, or my main focus at the time, was the dog. I heard many stories about dogs not getting along with children and stories where they could even possibly bite the child. So at the time I was living in an apartment, and Russ and I had been, looking into buying a house. And we thought in the future, we wanted to have kids, and we thought buying a house would be, a good option for us to look into. So, I was really sick throughout my entire pregnancy. But the first, 6 months, I had really horrible morning sickness. Sometimes I even had to miss work. So, at about 3 months, a friend of mine had a wedding in California that I went to. And for the first time in 3 months, when I went there, I had actually felt normal. Didn't feel sick for the first time in a long time. So when I arrived home, I was teasing Russ and said, maybe we should move to California because I actually felt better. Russ, says that, first let's talk a little bit about, Melody's background. She is Asian. So in California, they have lots of Asian food. And here in South Dakota, we have lots of meats and potatoes. So her preference really is Asian food. So yes, I do love Asian food, but I also do like it here too. So at 9 months, I really started to feel sick again, and I wasn't quite sure why. I didn't know why it had, impacted me at that time at 9 months. So, I went to the hospital, and asked, and I was concerned because I had a couple questions, about what to expect. And I had asked the interpreter there, who had quite a bit of experience. And asked her if, she had lots of labor and delivery experience before. So, we had asked her if she could be there, for our birth of our child to interpret for. Russ is saying that he wants to add one part of the story. An ad about the LeMay's classes. Between, us going back and forth to, for work and going to California, we kept postponing the LeMay's classes. So we actually ended up waiting until closer to the end of the pregnancy to schedule a LeMay's class, and we scheduled it for about 3 in the afternoon. And it ended up being the same day, that we ended up having our child. And we had the child actually before the class, which was at 3 p.m. So, the child came before the class. So it was funny because we ended up thinking that, we didn't need the class after all. So Melody was saying that when she was kind of concerned because she hadn't, taken LeMay's class, and she wasn't quite sure what to expect. And people, were surprised that she hadn't taken a LeMay's class before. Or the doctor was surprised that she hadn't taken that class before. And I never realized why it was so important that I did need that class, and why it is important to have before, you go into labor. But to me, I just ended up saving, $50 because that's how much the class was. But wow, the LeMays, the labor pains were just, horrendous. It feels similar to bad cramps, but it is extraordinarily worse. So, they eventually ask you, if you want an epidural, and, I said yes, but I didn't want to, epidurals can be painful, and I didn't want to see what was going on. So once they did do the epidural, I could feel, I could still feel the pain, but half of my body was numb. And the doctor asked me, do you still feel the pain? And I said yes, but, but after a little while, the pain, had subsided. I think I was in labor actually for about 6 hours. And I didn't want to know the sex of the child before the child was born. And then once the child was born, it ended up being a girl. And we named her Tasia. Now, understand. No, Russ, why don't you tell the story? And Russ is saying, no, Melody, you can tell the story. So, Russ's coworker was actually pregnant at the same time that I was. And they also had a girl as well. Her name was Asia. And Russ really liked that name. And, I thought it was kind of perfect, too, because of my Asian, background. Asian/Chinese background. So, the two of us talked about it, and, we didn't want to have the exact same name, even though we both really liked it. So we decided on Tasia, and it was perfect because my last name ends with Thai, so we decided to add the T onto the first part of Asia and make it Tasia.